My knuckles are white, gripping the steering wheel. Rain streaks across the windshield, blurring the streetlights into hazy halos. I can barely breathe. 3 months. 3 goddamn months I've been walking around like an idiot, thinking I had a marriage, a life. Well, she was. Her. Just the thought sends a jolt of pure rage through me, hot and electric. My name's Ethan. I'm 34, a master electrician. Not some suit-wearing corporate drone. I work with my hands. I build things. I fix things. Or at least, I thought I did. Turns out I couldn't fix her. It started with Maya, her laugh, the way she looked at me like I was the only man in the room. 6 years ago, Dave's housewarming. She was with Sarah, Dave's girl. I noticed the curves. Yeah, but it was more than that. She actually listened to me. Didn't look bored when I talked about conduit and voltage drops. Our first date? Wings and beer at the Rusty Mug. She showed up in ripped jeans and a band tee. No pretenses. Just real. 3 years later, a wedding. I busted my ass to buy a small 3-bedroom in Meadow Creek. It wasn't a mansion, but it was ours. Or so I believed. Maya seemed to appreciate it then. Dinners waiting. Listening to me bitch about the general contractor who almost fried himself. She'd even wear my old work shirts to bed, said they smelled like me. Said she liked my hands, calloused and strong. We were good. Solid. Or so the hell I thought. There were signs, sure. Looking back, they're glaring. Neon signs. But when you're working 14-hour days, pulling wires in some dusty attic, you don't always see what's right in front of you. Dad always told me, provide, protect. Talking feelings? Wasn't that important? We talked about kids, agreed to wait. Save up, climb the ladder. Her family liked me enough. Dad, a gruff retired cop, respected that I built something from nothing. Mom, the queen of suburbia, thought Maya could do better, land a doctor or a lawyer. But I won her over, fixing their damn garbage disposal after she had some fancy plumber come only for him to fail. Small things. All lies. My family loved her. Mom was happy I found someone. My younger brother, Liam, thought she was hot, but he respected our relationship. We had a good group of friends, game nights, BBQs, the whole 9 yards. A good life. The kind I never thought I deserved. But now I'm driving in the pouring rain, replaying the last few months in my head, and it feels like watching a train wreck in slow motion. A wreck I somehow managed to ignore until the twisted metal and shattered glass were right in front of my face. It started with the name, said with a tone that I should have recognized as the red flag that it was. Michiel. Michael? It was always Michael this, Michael that. Michael's MBA, Michael's brilliant ideas, Michael who was going places. She'd mention him at dinner, in the car, even in bed. Like I was supposed to be impressed. Michael thinks we should approach the Johnson account differently, she'd say, picking at her food. Good for Michael, I'd mutter, trying to focus on the football game. Then it escalated. Michael went to Cancun last year, says we should go. Maybe we will sometime, I'd reply, already feeling the knot of resentment tightening in my stomach. Michael says my ideas have real potential, she gushed, her eyes shining a little too bright. It became a constant drip, drip, drip of Michael this, Michael that. His breakfast choices, his workout routine. I didn't give a shit that Michael did CrossFit and ate avocado toast. I was trying to run a business, trying to keep the lights on. Then came the late nights at the office. Team happy hour, she'd say, already dressed to kill. Mandatory for team building. Once a week became twice, then 3 times. She'd roll in at 8 or 9 p.m., reeking of cheap perfume and cheap lies. I'd ask about her day, and she'd get this glazed look in her eyes. Just work, she'd say, already halfway out the door to the shower. Then the comparisons to her friends. One bought a vacation home in Colorado. Another got promoted to VP. It was always with this undertone, like my success wasn't measuring up. I wasn't working in some fancy office in a suit. It was manual labor. It wasn't as good. Michael says I have real management potential, she went on one day, scrolling through Instagram while I told her about landing the biggest contract of my career. He thinks I should be aiming higher. The changes were subtle at first, then blatant. New clothes, clothes I'd never seen before. More makeup. New hairstyle, new perfume that probably cost more than my work boots. Then the gym. Suddenly, my wife, who used to groan about walking the dog, was hitting the gym at 6 a.m. before work. A fancy new place downtown, with classes and smoothies and personal trainers. A good $200 a month or 6 months for my gym. And she showered there every day. So she'd arrive home at 8 or 9 p.m., freshly scrubbed and perfectly made up. Because that's totally normal after a sweaty gym session, right? I'm not the jealous type. Never been the guy to check her phone or track her location. Trust is either there or it isn't. And if it isn't, the relationship is already screwed. But I'm not stupid either. I started noticing she was always on her phone, would turn the screen away when I came near. I caught her texting late at night with the brightness turned all the way down. She'd take calls and suddenly need to step outside for better reception in our house that has never had reception problems. One night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to use the bathroom. She wasn't in bed. I found her in the kitchen, furiously texting someone. When she saw me, she nearly dropped her phone, mumbled something about checking work emails. At 2 a.m.? Sure. The money changed too. We always had separate accounts for our own spending, plus a joint account for bills and savings. I started noticing larger than normal withdrawals from the joint account into her personal account. Just helping my sister, she'd say vaguely, her eyes darting away. Credit card statements showed charges at restaurants on nights she was supposedly at girls' night. Expensive clothing stores when she claimed she was just browsing. Hotel bar charges in the middle of a workday. I knew something was off. My girl, my Maya, was gone. The final straw was Valentine's Day. I'm not usually big on Valentine's Day. Hallmark holiday? Whatever. But I made reservations at that fancy steakhouse she'd been wanting to try. Ordered flowers to be delivered to her office. Even bought her that silver bracelet she'd been hinting about. I texted her around noon. Make sure she'd be home in time for our 7 p.m. reservation. No response. Called at 5 p.m., straight to voicemail. By 6:30, still nothing. I ended up sitting on the couch in my nice clothes. The flowers wilting on the table. The cold bracelet box heavy in my pocket. She finally strolled in at 11 p.m., clearly drunk, babbling about a work crisis and her phone dying. Didn't even notice the flowers or my dress clothes. Just went straight to bed. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. When I brought it up, she got defensive, said I was overreacting and making her feel guilty about having to work late. That's when I knew. The Maya I married would have at least felt bad about missing Valentine's Day. Would have apologized, tried to make it up to me. This new Maya just seemed annoyed that I expected her time and attention at all. My first instinct was to just confront her, ask if she was cheating, have it out. But something stopped me. Pride? Self-preservation? Instead, I decided to pay attention. Really pay attention. Started keeping track of patterns. Every Tuesday and Thursday, late meetings. Every other Saturday, girls' brunch that somehow lasted until dinner. Always came home with her hair done, but no shopping bags. Checked our cell phone records online. Multiple calls and texts to the same number. Always at times when she was working late or at the gym. A number that wasn't saved in our family phone plan contact list. One day, while she was in the shower, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked her phone. Found it locked with a new passcode. Since when did she need to lock her phone from me? We used to know each other's passcodes, not because we were checking on each other, but just for convenience. Then the work events started. Company parties, client dinners, team outings that I was suddenly not invited to. It's just for employees, she'd say. Or it would be boring for you. The Maya I married used to love showing me off to her coworkers. Introducing me as her sexy electrician husband. I'm not the most observant guy with relationship stuff, but even I couldn't ignore what was happening. My wife was pulling away, building a separate life that I wasn't part of. The question was, what was I going to do about it? Then, fate decided to step in. I was fixing our leaky bathroom sink. I dropped my wrench and it knocked over Maya's makeup bag. While picking up the scattered lipsticks and whatnot, I found a hotel key card tucked in the side pocket. Not from any vacation we'd been on. This one was from the Marriott downtown, walking distance from her office. Weird thing to keep as a souvenir, unless it had some special meaning. I put it back exactly where I found it, finished fixing the sink like nothing happened. But that key card kept eating at me, a cold, hard piece of metal that represented everything that was falling apart. That night, after she fell asleep, I did a deep dive into our finances. Maya always handled the bills and budgeting, not because I couldn't do it, but she was pickier about that stuff, and I was happy to let her deal with it. I logged into our joint accounts and started going through recent statements. Found large withdrawals to her personal account over the last 3 months. We're talking hundreds, even $1,000 at a time. Money that was supposed to be for our future, our savings, our life together. Credit card statements showed shopping charges at stores way above our usual budget. Dinner charges on nights she told me she was eating with the girls at restaurants that were definitely not the casual places her friends usually picked. Charges at high-end lingerie stores for stuff I'd never seen her wear. Then I spotted it, a hotel charge from the same Marriott downtown, from 3 weeks earlier. Just a bar charge, not a room, but still. She hadn't mentioned being at any hotel bar. When I cross-referenced with our text messages from that day, she told me she was working late on a big presentation. I needed proof, needed the truth. My buddy Trent works in its security. We've been friends since high school. I'm not proud of it, but I called him up and asked if he could help me access Maya's email. Told him my suspicions. He was hesitant at first, but he'd been through a bad divorce himself after his ex cheated, so he understood where I was coming from. He helped me set up a simple keylogger on our home computer. Just a basic program that would capture her passwords next time she logged in. Shady? Absolutely. Legal? Probably not. But at that point, I didn't care. I needed to know what the hell was going on. 2 days later, I had her email password. And there it was. Message after message with this Michael guy. Weekend plans. Complaints about me, how I was stuck in my underdog mindset while Michael was going places. How she was settling by staying with me, how she deserved more luxury than I could provide. The same Michael who I now knew was her direct supervisor, who had just gotten promoted to regional director at her company. The same Michael who, according to his Facebook profile, that I now stalked like a psycho, was married with a 2-year-old and another kid on the way. There were hotel confirmations, screenshots of apartment listings they were looking at together, messages planning their future after she left me. All while she was sleeping next to me every night, eating the dinners I cooked, living in the house my work paid for. One email from Michael read, "Just a few more months and my bonus comes through. Then we can both leave our dead-end situations and start fresh. Just be patient and keep things normal at home." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. 6 years together, 4 years of marriage, all a lie. Or at least it had become one. I sat in my truck for an hour that night, parked outside our house, just thinking. Rage, betrayal, all that washing over me. Part of me wanted to storm in, pack her stuff, and throw it on the lawn. Part of me wanted to find this Michael and introduce his teeth to the pavement. Part of me wanted to just get drunk and set something on fire. But I didn't do any of that. I'm not that guy. Never been the type to lose control, even when every part of me wanted to. Dad always said, when you're angry is exactly when you need to think clearest. The old man was right, for once. Instead, I started making plans. If Maya and Michael were plotting their exit strategy, I needed to be 2 steps ahead. I wasn't going to be the chump left holding the bag when they decided to pull the trigger on their little escape plan. First, I set up a consultation with a divorce lawyer, a guy I'll call Richard, who my buddy used when his wife cheated. Supposedly a real shark. I forwarded all the emails I'd found, the financial records, everything. He confirmed what I already suspected. I had more than enough for an at-fault divorce on grounds of adultery. But Richard suggested something smarter than just confronting her outright. If you show your hand now, she'll just get defensive and start hiding assets. he said, leaning back in his leather chair. Better to be strategic about this. He advised me to gather more concrete evidence, photos or video if possible, to document any unusual spending or asset transfers, to secure my own finances before making any moves, and most importantly, to act normal while doing all of this. The element of surprise is your biggest advantage right now, he told me. Once you confront her, the game changes completely. Game. That's what my marriage had become. A game of chess, where I needed to anticipate her moves and counter them before she even made them. The next day at work, I couldn't focus. Almost electrocuted myself because I was distracted, thinking about Maya and Michael planning their new life together while I was busting my ass providing for us. My apprentice, Tommy, actually had to step in and remind me to test the circuit. Kid saved me from a nasty shock. Embarrassing. That night, when Maya came home late as usual, I forced myself to act normal. Asked about her day, listened to her lies about a stressful client meeting, even managed to kiss her goodnight without throwing up in my mouth. While she slept, I started making lists on my phone. Assets to protect, accounts to separate, people who needed to know what was happening, and people who didn't. A timeline for how this would all go down. The next morning, I texted her that I might have to go out of town for a big electrical job. Commercial building in Phoenix that needed a complete rewiring. Would probably be gone for about 2 weeks. Asked if she'd be okay holding down the fort alone. Her response was so enthusiastic, it was almost comical. That's great, babe. Such a good opportunity for you. I'll be fine here. Don't worry about me. I bet you will be, I thought. I bet you will be. The trap was set. Now I just needed to put the rest of my plan in motion. I made a big show of packing, loading my truck with tools, kissing her goodbye. Even stopped by my parents' place on the way out of town, so they'd think I was really leaving. Told them not to mention anything to Maya if they talked to her. Said I wanted to surprise her with a gift from the money I'd make. Mom thought that was sweet. If she only knew. Once I was clear of town, I circled back, crashed at my buddy Tony's empty rental property about 15 minutes from my house. He's been through his own divorce nightmare, so he got it. I needed eyes on my house. So one of my friends, Kevin, who installs security systems, hooked me up with some discreet outdoor cameras. I could monitor from my phone. We set them up when Maya was at work. One watching the driveway, another on the front door. Nothing inside the house. I'm not that kind of creep. And honestly, I didn't want to see what might happen in my own bedroom. The first day was quiet. Maya came home, ordered food, watched Netflix, sent me some miss you texts that I answered with equally fake enthusiasm. The second day, around 7 p.m., a black Audi pulled up. Out steps Mr. Regional Director himself. Tall gym body, expensive watch catching the streetlight. Brought wine. Stayed until 3 a.m. I got it all on video. The arrival. The way they kissed at the door, definitely not their first time. How comfortable he looked walking into my house with an overnight bag, like he owned the place. Same thing happened 3 more times that week. Once, they left together in the morning, her calling in sick. Spent the day who knows where. They ate dinner on my deck, drank my expensive whiskey I'd been saving, even took my boat out, the one I busted my ass to buy. While watching this show, I wasn't just sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I called my dad, showed him everything. He was pissed but focused. "What's the plan, son?" he asked. "Need to protect what I've built," I told him. The next few days were a blur of preparation. With Richard, my lawyer, I secured my business, since it was already an LLC in my name only. Set up new bank accounts. Transferred my work equipment to the business name. Changed beneficiaries on everything. Stored important documents and irreplaceable stuff off-site. Most importantly, had papers drawn up giving my dad temporary power of attorney over my business. Moved half our savings to my new account, leaving her exactly half in the joint account. Everything above board, documented through my lawyer. By day 10, I had everything I needed. Videos, emails, financial records, and a solid legal strategy. Just one more chess move before confrontation. I anonymously sent all the evidence to Michael's pregnant wife, Emma. She deserved to know before making life-altering decisions, just like I wish someone had done for me. With that final piece in place, I was ready to head home a day early from my business trip and watch Maya's face when she saw me. So I drove home a day early from my Phoenix job, ready for the big confrontation. I had this whole speech prepared in my head, kind of expected to catch Maya and Michael in the act, maybe get some more video evidence. But life's full of surprises, ain't it? I pulled into the driveway and noticed something off right away. Her car wasn't there. Weird, since my security cam showed it parked there just 3 hours earlier. Figured maybe she went grocery shopping or something. I walked in and the house felt empty. You know that feeling when a place that should feel like home suddenly doesn't? The air was different, quieter. Called out her name. Nothing. Checked the kitchen, living room, then headed to our bedroom. And that's when it hit me. Her side of the closet was completely cleared out. Dresser drawers empty. Bathroom counter missing all her expensive creams and makeup. On the bed was a note, folded neatly on my pillow. Like this was some romantic movie. It read, "Ethan, I can't do this anymore. I've moved on with someone who matches my ambitions and can give me the life I deserve. I'll have my lawyer contact you about the divorce. Don't try to find me. Maya Cold." Right? 6 years together, 4 years of marriage. And that's it. 8 lines on a piece of paper. Not even a full page. I sat on the edge of the bed, note in hand, feeling nothing. No rage, no heartbreak. Just this weird emptiness, like I was looking at the aftermath of something that had been dead for months, but I just hadn't admitted it yet. I headed to the living room and opened my laptop, pulled up the security footage from earlier that day. There it was. Maya and Michael loading suitcases and boxes into his Audi around noon. She was laughing as he struggled with a heavy bag. Both of them looking excited, like kids sneaking out past curfew. I spent the next few hours making lists. Bank accounts, credit cards, passwords, utilities. All the practical shit that needs handling when your wife decides to vanish. Changed the locks, changed every password she might know. Called Richard, my divorce lawyer buddy, to get the ball rolling. While checking our accounts, I noticed something interesting. She'd cleared out her personal checking account, but hadn't touched our joint savings. Either she forgot in her rush to start her fancy new life, or she was planning to come back for it once things settled. Then it hit me. The safe in my home office. I opened it, and yep, all her important documents were still there. Birth certificate, passport, social security card, everything you need to function as an adult in this country. She'd been in such a hurry to bail that she'd completely forgotten the basics. Stupid. I picked up my phone to text her about it, but stopped. Richard's advice came back to me. Don't engage until we have everything in order. Let her make the first mistakes. Instead, I called my dad, explained the situation. He came over quickly. We sat on the deck talking, while I transferred half our savings to a new account in my name only. Left her half in the joint account. I'm not a thief, but I'm not a sucker either. Dad stayed over that night. Good thing too, because around 3 a.m., my phone started blowing up. Text after text from Maya. Just realized I left some important things. Can we arrange a time for me to pick them up? Ethan, please respond. This is childish. They're my documents. I need my passport for a new job opportunity. I shut off my phone and went back to sleep. Let her sit with her poor planning for a while. The next day was weirdly normal. Went to work, wired a new construction site, made small talk with my crew. Nobody knew my life had just imploded, and I didn't feel like sharing. I checked my phone at lunch. 27 missed calls. Voicemails ranging from sugary sweet to threatening legal action. Michael had even called twice, trying to sound all authoritative about personal property law. I just texted Maya once. All communication through lawyers from now on. Then I blocked both their numbers and finished my sandwich. 48 hours after Maya's great escape, I was in the garage, reorganizing my tools. What can I say? It's therapeutic. When I heard someone pounding on the front door, I checked my new security app and there she was. Looking considerably less put together than when she left. I laughed my ass off and took my sweet time answering. I found her on the porch, mascara smeared, hair a mess, wearing what looked like yesterday's clothes. "You changed the locks?" First words out of her mouth, all indignant, like I'd done something wrong. Yep, I didn't invite her in. Just stood in the doorway. "I need my things, Ethan. My documents. I can't do anything without them. Should have thought about that before you cleared out while I was on a business trip." Her face did this thing where she was trying to look sad, but also trying to look attractive while looking sad. It's a weird expression that used to work on me. Not anymore. "Can I please come in and get my passport at least?" "I have a job interview tomorrow." "Nope. All items will be exchanged through lawyers." "I've already contacted mine." That's when she switched tactics. Started crying, shoulders shaking. The whole works. "Please. I made a mistake." "Michael isn't. Things aren't what I thought." "Not my problem. You can't legally keep my identification documents." Voice rising to that shrill tone I'd come to despise. "Actually, I can secure them until proper legal exchanges are arranged. They're safe. They'll be returned through appropriate channels." She tried to push past me into the house. I just stepped to the side, blocking the door with my arm. "Maya, you made your choice. You left. This isn't your home anymore. It's my house too. My name is on the mortgage. Might want to check that again." Mortgage is in my name only. House was purchased with my pre-marriage savings as a down payment. And since you abandoned the residence without notice, you've complicated your claim considerably. Thank you, Richard, for that legal script. Her eyes went wide. Where am I supposed to go? Michael's place is complicated. Trouble in paradise already? That was fast. She glared at me. His wife found out somehow, showed up at his apartment screaming. Had all these emails and videos. Did you have something to do with that? I just shrugged. Sounds like karma to me. I have nowhere to go, Ethan. Let me stay here until I figure things out. No, just for a few days. I'll sleep on the couch. No, you're being cruel. Full waterworks now. After everything we've been through, cruel would be leaving someone with a note after 4 years of marriage. Cruel would be screwing your boss in our bed while I was working my ass off providing for us. Cruel would be planning to clean out our accounts once his bonus came through. Her eyes went wide. How did you? I know everything, Maya. Every email, every plan, every complaint about my lack of ambition while you were falling for his leased car and maxed out credit cards. She crumpled onto the porch steps, sobbing. For real this time. Not for me. For her perfect exit strategy falling apart. I almost felt bad. Almost. I'll have Richard contact your lawyer about document exchange. You should go now. I closed the door, watched through the security cam as she sat there crying for another 20 minutes before finally calling her sister to pick her up. Later that night, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. This isn't over. You had no right to ruin everything. It was from Michael. I forwarded it to Richard with one comment. More evidence for the file. I spent the next couple of weeks focusing on work and getting my shit together. Had a massive rewiring job for a restaurant downtown that kept me busy. Plus, Richard was putting together our divorce strategy. Yeah, it's been 3 weeks since she showed up crying on the porch. The document exchange finally happened, supervised by both our lawyers at Richard's office. Maya showed up looking rough, dark circles under her eyes, wearing clothes I recognized from 2 seasons ago. Guess the fancy shopping sprees were over. She tried to corner me before the meeting. We need to talk, privately, Ethan. Nothing to say that can't be said in front of the lawyers. Richard was a beast. Had everything organized, documented, ready for signature. Maya's lawyer looked annoyed the whole time, probably because she kept interrupting him to make emotional appeals directly to me. I made a horrible mistake, she said at one point, reaching for my hand across the table. We could work through this. I moved my hand away. We're here to exchange documents, not reconcile. Her lawyer finally had to tell her to stop because she was making things worse. That seemed to wake her up to the reality of the situation. As we were wrapping up, I found out through Richard that Michael's situation had imploded spectacularly. His pregnant wife, Emma, had filed for divorce with evidence of multiple affairs. Not just with Maya. The company fired both Michael and Maya for violating policy about manager-employee relationships. He was facing possible legal action from the company for using business trips to conduct his affairs. Maya had been staying with her sister, but wore out her welcome after a week of crying and drama. I also heard that she tried moving in with Michael, but that lasted all of 3 days before reality set in. 2 unemployed people with mounting legal bills in his expensive apartment that, turns out, he could barely afford when he was employed. Meanwhile, my life's been improving. The business is doing better than ever. Landed 2 major commercial contracts that will keep us busy all year. Bought a new truck, not to show off, but because I actually needed one for work. The divorce is moving quickly. Since Maya left voluntarily, leaving a written note about moving on with someone else, and there's solid evidence of her affair, it's pretty straightforward. Richard thinks we'll be done in record time. Maya still tries reaching out occasionally. Texts from new numbers about how she misses what we had and made the biggest mistake of her life. I don't respond. Nothing left to say. Last I heard, she moved back in with her parents in Ohio. And I'm pretty sure that Michael's sleeping on his brother's couch and working DoorDash to make child support payments. Their grand romance lasted less than a month in the real world. Some of my friends ask if I regret how I handled everything, if I was too harsh or calculated. I tell them the same thing. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And when they're planning to screw you over, there's no shame in protecting what you've built. My old man told me something that stuck with me. In electrical work, you always plan for the worst-case scenario because it only takes one mistake to kill you. Turns out that applies to marriages too. Life's not perfect now, but it's real. And it's mine. I'm taking a course on being a better dad because it helps me at work too. Met a woman that works at the machine shop the other day. We've been grabbing coffee after work a couple of times a week, and I'm already developing feelings for her. Nothing serious yet, but there's something about a woman who can thread a pipe and talk circuit breakers that just works for me. She laughs at my dumb jokes. Lisa thought she's the only woman on earth who laughs at my jokes, and she doesn't look at her phone every 5 seconds when we're together. Crazy how you don't realize what you're missing until you actually have it. No regrets. It's been 6 months since the divorce was finalized. 6 months of rebuilding, of finding my footing again, of figuring out who I am without the we. It hasn't been easy, but it's been good, solid, like a freshly poured concrete foundation. Lisa's been a big part of that. She gets me, you know? The calloused hands, the early mornings, the smell of electrical tape that seems to permanently cling to my clothes. She doesn't try to change me. She appreciates me for who I am, not who she thinks I could be if I just aimed higher, wore a suit, or ate more avocado toast. Her and I, we talk, really talk, about feelings, about fears, about hopes. It's terrifying and exhilarating all at once, like touching a live wire but in a good way. A way that gives you energy, not a shock. We spend our weekends doing simple things, hiking in the woods, working on her vintage motorcycle, grabbing pizza at the local dive bar. No fancy hotels, no expensive clothes, no comparing ourselves to some Instagram perfect version of reality. Just us. The business is booming. I landed a huge contract to wire a new hospital on the outskirts of town. It's stressful, demanding, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Seeing something you helped build come to life, knowing you played a part in creating something that will serve the community for years to come, that's a feeling you can't get from sitting behind a desk, shuffling papers. Tommy, my apprentice, is really stepping up. Smart kid, eager to learn, and loyal as hell. I'm starting to think he might be ready to run his own crew soon. I might be able to take a vacation. Dad's been a rock through all this. Always there with a word of encouragement, a helping hand, or just a quiet presence. He's even started taking Lisa out for coffee, which is a big deal for him. He doesn't warm up to people easily. Mom's still mom, fussing over me, trying to set me up with every single woman she knows. But she's also proud of me. proud of how I handled things, proud of how I picked myself up and kept moving forward. Liam, my brother, he's been a good friend. He's there to shoot the breeze, grab a beer, and remind me that life is too short to take everything so seriously. He is still a smartass. I haven't heard from Maya in months. I assume she's still in Ohio trying to figure out her life. Part of me feels a pang of something, not sympathy exactly. Maybe just a recognition that we both made mistakes, that we both played a part in the destruction of our marriage. But that's a small pang. It goes as fast as it comes. Michael. Well, I heard through the grapevine that he's still working odd jobs, trying to make ends meet. His wife filed for a restraining order, and he's only allowed supervised visits with his kids. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? I try not to think about them. I focus on the present, on the future, on building something new, something real, something that will last. Then, one Tuesday morning, I get a call. The number is unfamiliar. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something tells me to answer. Hello, Ethan? It's Maya. My blood runs cold. It's been so long, I'd almost forgotten the sound of her voice. So close, so soft. What do you want, Maya? I try to keep my voice neutral, but I can hear the edge in it. I need to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. Please, Ethan. It's important. Can we meet? My first instinct is to say no, to hang up and block her number again. But something in her voice, a desperation, a vulnerability, makes me hesitate. What's this about, Maya? I can't explain it over the phone. Please, just meet me. Coffee? Neutral territory? I run a hand through my hair, feeling the tension building in my shoulders. Fine, but this is it. One meeting. That's all you get. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you so much. Can we meet tomorrow? Same place we used to go? The Rusty Mug? Yeah, perfect. Tomorrow at 10:10:10? Fine, I say. Then hang up. I stare at my phone, my heart pounding in my chest. What the hell was that about? What could she possibly want after all this time? A small shiver runs down my spine. I tell Lisa about the call that evening. She listens patiently, her brow furrowed with concern. Are you sure you want to do this, Ethan? It sounds like she's trying to reel you back in. No way, I say firmly. I'm not going back there, but I need to know what she wants. I need to get it over with. Lisa reaches out and takes my hand, her eyes full of understanding. Just be careful, okay? Don't let her manipulate you. I won't, I promise. I've learned my lesson. But as I lie in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I can't shake the feeling that something is about to go wrong. That the storm I thought I'd weathered is about to come raging back. The next morning, I arrive at the Rusty Mug a few minutes early. The place is mostly empty, just a few regulars nursing their coffee and reading the newspaper. I grab a table in the back, near the window, and wait. My palms are sweating and my leg is bouncing nervously. I haven't felt this anxious in months. At exactly 10 a.m., she walks in. Maya looks different, thinner, more tired. The spark that used to light up her eyes is gone, replaced by a weary sadness. She's wearing simple jeans and a t-shirt, no makeup. Nothing like the polished, sophisticated woman she'd become at the end. She looks more like the girl I fell in love with 6 years ago. She sees me and hesitates for a moment, then walks over to the table. Ethan, she says softly, her voice trembling slightly. Maya, I reply, nodding curtly. Take a seat. She sits down, avoiding my gaze. The silence stretches out between us, thick and uncomfortable. So? I say finally, breaking the tension. What's this about? I don't have all day. She takes a deep breath, then looks up at me, her eyes filled with tears. I need your help. I raise an eyebrow, incredulous. My help? After everything you put me through? You've got a lot of nerve, Maya. I know, she says, her voice barely a whisper. I know I hurt you. I made a terrible mistake. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'm desperate, Ethan. I don't know where else to turn. I cross my arms, waiting for her to explain. It's about Michael, she says. What about him? Last I heard, he was working DoorDash and trying to avoid his ex-wife. She flinches at the mention of his name. He's in trouble. He's gotten himself into some serious debt. Gambling debts mostly. I scoff. Serves him right. It's not that simple, Ethan. He owes some dangerous people a lot of money. They've been threatening him. Threatening me too. My eyes narrow. What does this have to do with me? They think he stole money from the company before he was fired. They think he gave it to me. They've been harassing me, calling me, following me. I'm scared, Ethan. I lean back in my chair, taking it all in. It sounds like a bad movie plot. And you think I can help you how? They think you know where the money is. They think you're hiding it for me. They want you to give it back. I burst out laughing. They think I'm hiding money? That's rich. You cleaned out our accounts, Maya. I was left with nothing. I know. But they don't believe me. They think we're still working together. They think this whole thing was a scam to get back at Michael's employer. Well, if it makes you feel any better, Emma. Michael's wife called me up yesterday wanting to get together for a drink, I said, smiling. I'll be sure to let her know it was your scam, not mine. This time it was her turn to laugh. Her laugh was hollow, tinged with fear. It's not funny, Ethan. This is serious. They said they're going to hurt me if I don't give them the money. They know where I live. They know about my family. I run a hand through my hair again, feeling the weight of this situation pressing down on me. I don't want to help her. I don't owe her anything, but the thought of her being hurt, of her family being threatened, I can't just stand by and do nothing, even after everything. What do you want me to do, Maya? I ask, my voice softer now. Just talk to them. Tell them you don't know anything about the money. Tell them I don't have it. Maybe they'll believe you. I hesitate. It's a dangerous request. Getting involved with these people could put me and Lisa in danger as well. But I can't let her get hurt. Not at least without trying. I'll think about it, I say finally. I'll see what I can do. Thank you, Ethan, she says, her eyes filling with gratitude. Thank you. I don't know what I would do without you. I nod, then stand up. I have to go. Don't call me. I'll call you if I decide to do anything. I turn and walk away, leaving her sitting alone at the table. I can feel her eyes on my back, but I don't look back. I need to get away, to clear my head, to figure out what to do. When I get back to the shop, Lisa is waiting for me. She can see the worry on my face. What happened, Ethan? She asks. What did she want? I tell her everything, about Michael's gambling debts, about the threats, about Maya's plea for help. Lisa listens intently, her expression growing more and more concerned. When I'm finished, she takes my hand and squeezes it tightly. This is insane, Ethan, she says. You can't get involved in this. It's too dangerous. These people sound like criminals. I know, I say. But I can't just let her get hurt, Lisa. I can't do that. But what about us? What about our safety? This could put us in danger too. I know she's right. But I can't just sit back. I don't know what to do, I say, my voice filled with frustration. Lisa thinks for a moment, then says, maybe we should go to the police. Tell them everything. Let them handle it. It's a logical suggestion, but I hesitate. I don't trust the police to protect Maya. And I don't want to risk Michael getting into even more trouble. He's an idiot, but he doesn't deserve to be beaten or worse. I don't know, Lisa, I say. I need to think about it. I need to figure out what to do, she nods, understanding. Just promise me you'll be careful, Ethan. Don't do anything stupid. I promise, I say. But I'm not sure I can keep that promise. That night, I can't sleep. I toss and turn in bed, my mind racing, trying to figure out a solution. I consider going to the police, but I keep coming back to the same conclusion. I can't trust them to protect Maya. I think about talking to these dangerous people myself, but that's even riskier. I'm just an electrician. I don't know how to deal with criminals. Finally, I come to a decision. It's a long shot, but it's the only thing I can think of. I have to talk to Michael, find out exactly what's going on, what he owes, who he owes it to. Maybe I can find a way to help him pay off his debts, to get him out of this mess. I know it's crazy, helping the man who destroyed my marriage. But I can't shake the feeling that it's the right thing to do. The next morning, I track down Michael's brother's address. I knock on the door and a tired-looking woman answers. Can I help you? She asks. I'm looking for Michael, I say. Is he here? She hesitates for a moment, then nods. He's in the back. I'll get him. A few minutes later, Michael appears. He looks terrible. His clothes are rumpled, his hair is a mess, and there are dark circles under his eyes. He's changed. No power suit, no power anything. He stares at me, his expression a mixture of surprise and suspicion. What do you want, Ethan? He asks, his voice wary. I need to talk to you, Michael, I say. About Maya? About the people you owe money to. He flinches at the mention of her name. How did you know about that? Maya told me, I say. She's scared. She asked me to help. Michael laughs, a bitter, hollow sound. Help? What can you do? You're just an electrician, maybe, I say, but I'm willing to try. Tell me everything, Michael. Tell me what's going on. He hesitates for a moment, then sighs and waves me inside. We sit down at the kitchen table and he begins to tell me his story. It's worse than I imagined. He didn't just lose money gambling. He borrowed from some very dangerous people to try and recoup his losses. Now, he owes them a huge sum, and they're threatening him and Maya if he doesn't pay up. I don't know what to do, he says, his voice filled with despair. I'm screwed. How much do you owe them? I ask. He tells me the amount, and I whistle. It's more than I make in a year. Do you have any assets? I ask. Anything you can sell? He shakes his head. I lost everything. My job, my savings, my car. I have nothing. I think for a moment, then say, I might have an idea. But it's risky, and it's going to require you to trust me. He looks at me, his eyes filled with desperation. I don't have a choice, do I? I nod. No, you don't. My plan is crazy, reckless, and probably illegal. But it's the only way I can see to get Michael and Maya out of this mess without anyone getting hurt. I tell Michael to contact the people he owes money to. Tell them he has a way to pay them back, but he needs a little time to arrange it. Tell them he'll meet them at a specific location in 3 days. Then I call Trent, my buddy who works in its security. I need his help again. I need him to track down the identities of the people Michael owes money to. I need to know who I'm dealing with. Trent is hesitant at first. He doesn't want to get involved in anything illegal. But I explain the situation, about the threats to Maya, about Michael's desperation. He eventually agrees to help. Over the next 3 days, I work like a madman. I pull every string I can think of. I call in favors from old friends, from business associates, from anyone who owes me anything. I'm scraping together every dollar I can find. Lisa is furious with me. She thinks I'm crazy, that I'm risking everything for people who don't deserve it. But she also sees the determination in my eyes. She knows I'm not going to back down. On the 3rd day, Trent calls me. He has the information I need. The people Michael owes money to are a local gang, known for their ruthless tactics and their willingness to use violence. Their leader is a man named Tony the Hammer Moretti. I feel a chill run down my spine. This is even more dangerous than I thought. I call Michael and tell him to meet me at the designated location. It's an old abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The place is deserted, isolated, and perfect for what I have planned. When I arrive, Michael is already there, pacing nervously. He looks even worse than the last time I saw him. Are you sure about this, Ethan? He asks, his voice trembling. This is insane. It's going to be okay, Michael, I say, trying to sound more confident than I feel. Just stick to the plan. A few minutes later, a black SUV pulls up. 4 men get out. They're all big, muscular, and armed. The leader, Tony Moretti, is a hulking figure with a shaved head and a menacing glare. They walk over to us, their eyes filled with suspicion. Where's the money, Michael? Moretti asks, his voice cold and hard. Michael gulps, then points to me. He has it. All eyes turn to me. That's right, I say, stepping forward. I have the money. But it's not going to be that easy. Moretti laughs, a cruel, mocking sound. What do you mean? We came here for the money. Hand it over, not so fast, I say. I have some conditions. First, you leave Maya alone. No more threats, no more harassment. You understand? Moretti hesitates for a moment, then nods. Fine. We leave her alone. Now give me the money. Second, I say, you leave Michael alone. You forgive his debt. You let him walk away from this. Moretti's eyes narrow. That's pushing it. He owes us a lot of money. I know, I say. And I'm willing to pay it. But only if you agree to my terms. Moretti thinks for a moment, then glances at his men. They nod in agreement. All right, he says. We agree. Now give me the money. I smile. Not yet. First, you have to sign something. A written agreement stating that you'll leave Maya and Michael alone. No more threats, no more harassment. Nothing. Moretti's face turns red with anger. You're pushing your luck, electrician. I could just take the money and leave you both here. Maybe, I say. But you won't. Because you know that if you do, I'll go to the police. I'll tell them everything. I'll make sure you spend the rest of your life in prison. Moretti hesitates again. He knows I'm telling the truth. He can't afford to risk getting caught. Fine, he says finally. We'll sign your stupid agreement. Where is it? I pull out a folder from my truck. Inside is a written agreement, drawn up by Richard, my lawyer. It's legally binding and airtight. Moretti reads the agreement carefully, then signs it. His men sign it as well. All right, Moretti says. We signed your agreement. Now give me the money. I nod and walk over to my truck. I open the back and pull out a large duffel bag. I hand it to Moretti. He opens the bag and looks inside. His eyes widen with surprise. What is this? He asks. This isn't money. It's just junk. That's right, I say, smiling. It's just junk. Old tools, scrap metal, worthless garbage. Moretti's face contorts with rage. You tricked us. You set us up. That's right, I say. I did. Because I knew you wouldn't keep your word. I knew you'd come after Maya and Michael anyway. So, I decided to play you at your own game. Moretti lunges at me, his fist raised. But before he can reach me, I press a button on a remote control in my pocket. Suddenly, the warehouse is plunged into darkness. The lights go out and alarms start blaring. The place is filled with smoke and chaos. What the hell is going on? Moretti yells. I rigged this place with a blackout system, I say, my voice echoing through the darkness. When you got close, the power went out. You're dead, I hear. Think again, the police should be here any minute now. I disappear out the back door. The police arrive a few minutes later. They arrest Moretti and his men, and they take Michael into custody as well. They find the signed agreement in Moretti's pocket, and they realize that I was telling the truth. Maya is safe. Michael is going to face some serious charges, but he's alive. And I've managed to outsmart a gang of criminals. It's been a long, crazy few days, and I'm exhausted. But I also feel a sense of satisfaction. I did the right thing. I protected the people I cared about, and I did it without compromising my values. I go back to my shop, and Lisa is waiting for me. She runs to me and throws her arms around me. I was so worried about you, she says, her voice trembling. Are you okay? I'm fine, I say, holding her tight. It's over. It's all over. We hold each other for a long time. Just breathing, just feeling the relief wash over us. Later that night, we're sitting on the porch, watching the stars. The air is cool and still. The world feels peaceful. You were amazing, Ethan, Lisa says, leaning her head on my shoulder. I can't believe you did that. I had to, I say. I couldn't let them get away with it. I know, she says. You're a good man, Ethan. A really good man, I smile. I'm just an electrician, I say. No, she says. You're more than that. You're a hero, I laugh. I'm no hero, Lisa. I just did what I had to do. That's what heroes do, she says. I look up at the stars, feeling a sense of gratitude wash over me. I've been through a lot in the past year. I've lost a marriage. I've faced betrayal. I've risked my life. But I've also learned a lot. I've learned who I am, what I'm capable of, and what really matters in life. And I've found love again. A love that is real, honest, and true. A love that is worth fighting for. I reach out and take Lisa's hand. She squeezes it tightly. I love you, Lisa, I say. I love you too, Ethan, she says. We sit there in silence, holding hands, watching the stars. The future is uncertain, but I know that I can face whatever comes my way. Because I have Lisa by my side, and that's all that matters. A few weeks later, I get a letter in the mail. It's from Maya. She thanks me for everything I did. She tells me that Michael is doing better, that he's getting help with his gambling addiction. She says that she's finally starting to move on with her life. I smile, then toss the letter into the fire pit. It's time to let go of the past, to focus on the future. I have a good woman, a good business, and a good life. I'm finally at peace. The power is back on, and the lights are shining brighter than ever. And I know that this time it's gonna last. Years have passed. The scars from the Maya situation have faded, leaving behind a calloused strength, a deeper understanding of myself, and a profound appreciation for the woman sleeping peacefully next to me. Lisa and I are married now. Small ceremony, just close friends and family, held in her backyard under a canopy of string lights, powered by me, of course. No extravagant spending, no pressure to impress, just pure, unadulterated joy. We have a son now, little Leo. He's got Lisa's bright eyes and my stubborn streak. He's the best thing that's ever happened to me. He already knows the difference between a Phillips head and a flathead screwdriver. Lisa rolls her eyes, but secretly she loves it. The business is thriving. Tommy did become foreman and is now a partner. I've expanded my operation, taken on bigger projects. I even have a small office now, though I still prefer to be out in the field, getting my hands dirty. One afternoon, I'm at the hardware store picking up supplies when I see a familiar face. It's Michael. He looks different, healthier, more grounded. He's wearing a work uniform, stocking shelves. I hesitate for a moment, then walk over to him. Michael? He looks up, his eyes widening with surprise. Ethan? Wow, I didn't expect to see you here. How are you doing? I ask. Good, he says, nodding. I'm working here now, trying to get my life back on track. I'm glad to hear it, I say. I wanted to thank you, Ethan, he continues, his voice sincere, for everything you did for me and Maya. I know I messed up big time. I'm grateful you didn't let us drown. It's in the past, I say. Just focus on the future. I am, he says. I'm going to meetings, getting my life sorted. Been trying to make amends to my kids and their mother. It's a process. We stand there for a moment in comfortable silence. Well, I should get going, I say. Got a job to finish. Yeah, me too, he replies. It was good seeing you, Ethan. You too, Michael, I say, then turn and walk away. As I walk out of the hardware store, I feel a sense of closure. It's all behind me now. The anger, the resentment, the pain, it's all gone, replaced by peace, contentment, and a quiet sense of gratitude. Life isn't perfect. There are still challenges, still moments of doubt, still things that keep me up at night. But I know that I can handle whatever comes my way, because I have a strong foundation, a loving family, and a purpose in life. I'm Ethan, the electrician, and I'm finally in control of my own current. The power is mine,